Hey everyone, welcome back to Financial Freedom. Today I'm going to be going over 5 simple steps with you that will help you save $5,000 in 1 year. Now, I recently had a series of unfortunate events happen in my life back to back to back that made me so grateful that I had changed my lifestyle a few years ago and that I've been following these 5 steps, because if I hadn't, I would have never been prepared for all this disaster that's happening to me all at once. For work, I drive very far, and I believe the dealership made a mistake while fixing my car. And long story short, my transmission is basically blown, and that's going to cost, thousands of dollars. Luckily, a lot of it is covered under warranty, but, I'm still dishing a lot of money into that car constantly for work. Now, I've also had a guy replace my toilet and it caused flooding in my home, which, again, even though I'm insured through homeowners insurance, I still have to pay thousands of dollars out of pocket. Add on some of the issues medically that my wife is going through and having a child, all these things, seems like life just hits you all at once sometimes. And I want you guys and gals to be prepared for anything that may happen to you. And hopefully you just have a good year. Hopefully you don't have any disasters hit your way. And maybe you could use that $5,000 you save at the end of the year for a nice vacation or something to invest back into yourself. Or, and it doesn't have to be something that makes you more money, but ideally on this channel, I would always suggest invest in yourself, invest in things that may be able to make you extra income. But, ultimately that choice is yours. But at very least, I want everyone on this channel to be ready for any disaster that may hit them. That way they don't find themselves in a very destitute, dark, lonely place, because that's how it could feel sometimes. It feels like the world is just coming down on you and there's no escape, there's no sunshine, there's no end of the road. So I'm going to get you guys prepared for the worst and allow you also to enjoy life at its best. Okay, let's go ahead and get into these 5 simple steps to save $5,000 in a single year. All right, step number 1 to save money is budgeting. Budgeting is life. Now, when I first started budgeting, I was doing it on a pen and pad. I would see what I made every 2 weeks, and I would try to break down how much money I had on hand from that paycheck versus my expenses, which was great. But, say I budgeted $200 every 2 weeks to spend on gas because I travel far for work, right? Now, a lot of times I didn't even realize that I was actually only spending anywhere from $125 to $150 every 2 weeks in gas, which means I would have had $50 left over in my budget for something else that I may have needed. Maybe I needed to pay something down. Or ideally, if I didn't have anything to pay down, if I didn't have a lot of like credit card debt or student loans or things along that nature that I have to pay back, that was a perfect key opportune moment to be able to drop that $50 into my savings account. And I wasn't even really paying attention to that. I would just, I would look at things, and then when I was done with the 2 weeks, I would see, oh wow, I saved, I still have a couple $100 in my checking account. Great. But I wasn't dialing in exactly to what my expenses were. My expenses were not living and breathing. You have to go onto YouTube, and there's so many great resources now, and uh, get a tutorial for how to make a budget on Excel. And the budget needs to be living and breathing. And what I mean by living and breathing is that every time you have an expense, you need to track it day by day. So when your day's over, look at your debit card, look at your credit card, look at your Apple card, track every single expense and write it down on there. Now, the inverse is true as well, right? So every time you gain extra money, meaning maybe your mom sent you a $25 check for your birthday, you're going to add that into, your total into your budget, okay? The budget is going to be the tell all, okay? Because it's one thing just to write down your expenses on paper and see what you're going to have left over. But if your budget is living and breathing, it's going to expose where you can save money or where you are spending too much money. Okay. I used to be a cigarette smoker and had a bad habit, and I knew that my habit was expensive, but I wasn't really aware of how much money exactly I was spending in a month to month basis. Well, turns out I was spending about $200 a month on cigarettes. Now, if you're trying to save $5,000 in 1 year, you need to save about $14 a day. Well, if I'm spending $7 on a pack of cigarettes, I've already met half of my budget to be able to make that $5,000 at the end of the year. Now, maybe for you guys, maybe you like to vape, or maybe you like to, puff on the old Puff the Magic Dragon there, right? Okay. I know a lot of people that spend a lot of money on that, and they're not even aware of how many hundreds of dollars they're spending on a weekly or monthly basis. And I understand these things are hard to give up. I've been there, I've done it. But, at the end of the day, if you're really serious about having a goal to save $5,000 in a year, and you're not able to find a side hustle, a lot of these YouTubers and gurus are like, oh, well, to save $10,000 in a year, you just need to be able to save $27.50 every single day. It's like, dude, I never had $27 to spend every day, anyways. I don't make that much money. Like, who has $27.50 every single day to spend? That just is not realistic for most people, especially when a freaking, meal at McDonald's costs you $15 just to eat yourself. Forget about it if you have a partner or a child. Not a lot of people have that kind of income to spend, anyways. So you need to look at what you currently spend money on versus what is coming in to your payroll, right? Because otherwise, it's going to be very unclear to you where you can save money. And it sucks when people just tell you, well, just make better money, do more things. Like, do Uber, do this to make extra income. Not everybody has that ability to make extra income. Maybe their car isn't good enough to go do Uber on the side, or maybe it's not worthwhile in the neighborhood where they live. Maybe it's not possible for you to get a second job because you can't afford daycare and you have to stay home on your days off to watch your children. So, I hate when people just say, well, we'll find something to bring you in extra money. That's not always the answer. But one way guaranteed that is the answer is that I guarantee you there's somewhere in your life and there's somewhere in your spending habits where you are spending too much money on something that is a want and not a necessity. And once you can cut out some of those expenses, I guarantee you will save money. Maybe you won't be able to save $14 a day. Maybe you fall in a very low bracket of income, but I guarantee you'll come pretty close. You'll at least be able to save $5 to $7 a day. $7 a day. What? I mean, that's skipping out on Starbucks coffee every morning. That's half of your goal met right there. So make sure you budget, make it living and breathing so that you could really see and expose what's going on with your spending habits, because I guarantee you there's something on there and there is an opportunity that is currently being missed. So start there with step one. I know it could be a little overwhelming learning how to make an Excel spreadsheet. I had never used it before, but I followed a tutorial on YouTube, about 8 years ago. And, I still use that budget to this day. And it's an amazing resource. It's an amazing tool. It's, you do it one time, you spend about an hour on it, get it out the way, and then you just plug in your numbers pretty much for the rest of your life. You're set. So, again, step one is budgeting. Big step. All right. So you guys have created your budget. You're starting to see opportunities. And one thing that really stuck out to me when I wrote out my budget is how much money I was spending on groceries. Now, in the beginning of my life, I used to go to Publix because, that's where my parents had always shopped. And I just thought it was the best place to go. I was a little biased towards Walmart. I know I've seen the memes, I've heard the things, the stories, the people you see in there and what have you. And I just thought, well, I'm kind of too good for Walmart. Well, now I'm probably one of the biggest advocates for Walmart. When I go into Publix, anything I buy is marked up like 30 to 40% right off the bat. It is the biggest ripoff on planet Earth, along with Whole Foods and many of these other popular grocery stores. One of the reasons I prefer Walmart is they have something called great value. Now, a great value item, take for example, cereal. Uh, I purchased the great value version, and it's a large size box. It's like 34 servings of cereal per box, and it costs me about $2 every time I go and get it. Now, if I were to buy that same brand name cereal that is almost identical in taste, made by General Mills, I would pay $7 to $8 for that same amount of cereal. Now, I am paying $6 extra in that scenario just for the brand name. But you want to hear the ironic part? You want to hear the kicker? You want to hear about how much of a scam these grocery stores are just in general? Because they know Americans, especially, are just so mind warped that they only will trust a brand name, right? The funny part is that Walmart Great Value cereal is actually made by General Mills. It's still produced by the same company. It just doesn't say General Mills on it. Instead, it says Great Value because it's Walmart's version of that cereal, but it's made in the same cereal factory as General Mills is. So, guys, stop falling for the trap. It's an illusion. And if you don't believe me, go try it out for yourself. I'm a big advocate for things of great value like getting cookies, crackers, cereal, ketchup, mayonnaise, pasta. All these things taste, I cannot taste the difference. You could blindfold me and ask me if it's a Walmart brand or if it's a brand name product, and I wouldn't even be able to tell you the difference. Every week on groceries, I've saved minimum $25 switching and buying as many things, great value that I can as opposed to brand name. Now, and if you already spend hundreds on groceries every week, then I guarantee your savings will be at least $50 or higher every time you go shopping. So again, just some food for thought, so to speak. Okay. Go try it out for yourself if you don't believe me. Be open minded to shopping for better deals for food. Um, I think a lot of us are already starting to gain that awareness that a lot of brand name items are ripoffs, but we still kind of have a stigma towards food that, well, with food, it's different because we consume it into our bodies. We want to be healthy. We want to be safe, right? We want to make sure we're feeding our families with the right materials. I promise you, there's nothing wrong with a great value product or anything they serve. I've never gotten sick, never had any issues with it. The only thing that I have done because I've switched is save a lot of money every single year. Now, the third way to help you reach your goal of saving $5,000 in 1 year is really taking a hard look at what you spend on entertainment every week when you're looking at your living and breathing budget that we set up in step one. Now, one area that I noticed I was spending a lot of money on every single 2 weeks was going out on dates with my wife. Now, of course, you want your relationship to be happy, healthy, have fun, do different things. But there's a way to do all of that without spending a ton of money. You have to get a little more creative. It takes a little more work to kind of figure that out. But in the long run, once you do, you're actually spending more time focused on the other person rather than focusing on the place that you're going to and that environment and situation there. Me and my wife love to cook together. We go on picnics, we go to the park, we do different things. Now, of course, we still go on a date here and there, but it doesn't have to be going to Ruth Chris every time we go out for a date. It hasn't doesn't have to break the bank, so to speak. So, at the end of the day, talk with your partner, get a little more creative, look at ways that you guys can save money together. Now, if you're single, entertainment for you might be going out to the club, it might be going out to bars and drinking, and that could be an extremely expensive habit as well. It could be meeting up with friends, listening to music, and, doing a little puff, puff, pass. Okay, again, that could become very expensive as well. Or perhaps for entertainment, you have, certain hobbies that are very expensive. Maybe look for ways to kind of dial that down a little bit and still be able to do things that you enjoy, but, do it with a conscious budget in mind as well. Because, at the end of the day, if you want to save money and you want to save large quantities of money, you're going to have to make sacrifice at some point. So get familiar with making sacrifices and cutting where you can. It's going to be a huge difference maker. Now, entertainment can also mean things like how much money do you spend on television subscriptions and channels? That could be an very expensive habit as well. For some people that are going through it, they go on, websites that are not so children friendly and they try to talk with women. I'm sure you can guess what I'm talking about. And that could be an extremely expensive habit as well. And it's probably not good for your mental health either, but that's a different story for a different time. You know, at the end of the day, do whatever makes you happy. My main point is there's a lot of money you could save within the entertainment category, and it expands over many different topics. So really dial into your budget and see where you might be able to save. For me, entertainment, I also consider things like phone and internet service. I just started saving about $60 a month by bundling my phone and internet together through T-Mobile. So that might be another opportunity for you to save on your budget as well. The next way that you could save income is using credit cards to your advantage. If your credit score is good enough, apply for credit cards that you may feel are beneficial to you. Maybe you have a family of 4 or 5 people and you spend a ton of money on groceries every week, but certain cards offer 5% cash back on groceries. That's a nice little savings at the end of the year. You could even, utilize that cashback reward to pay down your balance on your grocery expenses. There's other credit cards out there if you like to travel a lot that can help you get airline miles or points. And you'll basically fly for free whenever you decide to go out of town for a vacation or to visit family, whatever the case may be. That might become a free expense to you over time by utilizing these different credit cards. Reddit actually has an amazing group, r slash credit cards, and there's a lot of helpful people in there that will help you discuss different, whatever your goals are in mind, whatever kind of rewards you're looking for. They can kind of help break things down for you. It's a very helpful community, and they helped me pick out some of the credit cards that I was interested in based off of what my needs were. And for me, I usually save, because I spend a lot of money on gas. I'm usually saving about $30 every 2 months or so. So, it's a little bit, it adds up over time. The way I look at it is if you're already spending money and you can get some kind of benefit out of it, why would you not do that? So definitely look into credit cards and different options there. That might help you save income as well throughout the year. Now, the last step to help you save money this year and to get ahead on your finances is learn to meal prep. Cooking is an essential life skill. And if you're planning your meals ahead of time, you never have to worry about going and dumping, $10 to $20 every single day that you work for lunch. You never have to be hungry at home and wonder what's for dinner. And if you're going to have to go spend another $10 to $20 on dinner that night. Now, this does require time, it does require discipline. It could be a little expensive, a little bit of money up front at first to get your seasoning rack filled and some essential, you know, uh, ingredients that you're going to need for a lot of dishes, like, getting breadcrumbs and flour and sugar and all these different things, right? But you'll be amazed at how much money you can save just by meal planning. I don't spend a dime on lunch. My expenses for lunch and dinner every month is probably under $50, and that's on what I consider a bad month. I also don't get sick very often anymore. I haven't been sick in like the last 2 years because I know what I'm putting into my body is healthy, it's cooked right, it's not, processed, it's not terrible fast food, and even high-end restaurants sometimes mess it up and you'll get sick eating out at those as well. So you'll be saving a ton of money, you'll be feeling better, and overall I guarantee this will help you bring yourselves closer to hitting that $5,000 a year savings. Okay, so I hope this video really helped you out. Sorry that this one went a little longer than I expected it to, but I hope you enjoyed the content. I just want to make sure you guys and gals are ready for any financial situation that may happen. And at very least, I hope that you can keep this $5,000 that you're going to save at the end of the year in your pockets and allow that to snowball. Maybe reinvest half of it back into yourself to find other ways you can make more passive income, like investing in the stock market, collecting dividends, and things along that nature. And if you're interested in that, please check out the other videos on my channel where I deep dive into several different stocks that I am interested in trading or I am long term investing in, because I know, again, that can help you become more financially free. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.